Two new updates came out for Turbo, so let's just jump right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? Hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're going to be talking about the one and only Turbo Toad token. So let's see what this is about. Listen, from CoinDisco, time for another big drop. Turbo by Turbo Toad token is now live on CoinDisco. The first AI generated meme coin can now be bought with fiat on our website and mobile apps. Pay with card, Apple Pay, Google Pay, or bank transfer and join the Turbo Toad army, right? Oh, well, no Turbo Toad, but you know what I mean. Same thing, Toad army today. So we can see amazing 6,500 views from a couple of hours ago. So once again, Turbo is putting in the work. And we can see, right, earn Turbo locked products. Earn up to 100% APR in rewards for the next 30 days. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that is huge, right? That is huge. If we take a calculator right now, actually, right, if we take a calculator out right now, we can see, right, the calculator. So if we take 100% divided by 12, right, 12 months, you can make 8.3%. 8.3% in a month. The banks offer roughly what, 2% a year? I know I'm comparing this to the banks, but I mean, money is money, people, and there's opportunity. So if you had, let's say, $5,000 worth of Turbo and you put it in for the month with them, oops, sorry, let's do 0. Sorry, what is happening? Dot zero, there we go, 83, right? Boom, you would make $415 profit in a month just because you put your Turbo and you locked it up for the 30 days with them. Now make sure to read and make sure to see that, you know, it's not a thing where you have to stake it for a year, 2, 3 years or whatever, but I don't think that's the case, right? I don't think that's the case. So ladies and gentlemen, just think about it, right? Every $1,000 you put in here and you stake it up, that's going to be roughly $83 made. So if you have lots of Turbo, if there's some type of whale listening to me and let's just say you have $100,000 worth of this coin, you know, you can get yourself a fantastic deal, right? 8.3K made if there's some type of whale listening to these videos. So listen, man, listen, do not sleep on this. This is actually one of the best APRs I have seen through crypto history. Anyways, let's jump right into Turbo. Ladies and gentlemen, we can see that, you know, pretty much ever since we tapped into this order block, right? We did go up a little bit up, we did go up a little bit down, but ladies and gentlemen, we have finally found some type of lifeline, I should say, and we have finally broken to the upside. Now, we did predict that that is going to be possible because we expected Bitcoin, ladies and gentlemen, to practically bounce off this zone, right? We talked about it before, where we expected Bitcoin to bounce off this zone when it was already at 115K. We expected some type of pullback. We got the pullback roughly to $113,000, and we expected for Bitcoin to continue pushing up higher. And well, why is this relevant? Well, I expected Turbo to have similar structure, right? We can see we have this type of structure here on Bitcoin. We start going up diagonally, and then we come back into this specific order block, and then we continue pushing up, right? We go to something like Turbo, boom, right? We have the same type of zone. There we go. We start going up diagonally, we go back down, and then we start pushing up. So literally almost near identical, right? Almost near identical, which is why it's important to be looking at Bitcoin in these videos. Well, what is next? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like to me, we do have a nice support, right? We do have a nice support that did tap off the order block. And like I said before, this really fundamentally should have been the furthest pullback we have seen. Technically on the weekly, like I said before, we could always go even as low as, you know, let's just say up to 0.033, right? We could technically go as low as that because we would still be higher than this floor over here. But, you know, in terms of the daily, you know, this really should have been the lowest point. And I'm glad to see some type of breakout. So Step one was to see some type of resurgence from 0.0041. We saw a little bit of up movement. Then step two was to make sure that we get confirmation and we continue to go up higher. That's exactly what happened, right? Step three, we are going higher. Now, step four is going to be hard. Step four will require some time, but we have to make sure that when we go up to this zone of 0.005, let's say, more or less, that we just simply aren't selling off like this, going sideways a little bit just to sell down further, okay? We could have a little bit of sell-off here, but we want to make sure that overall, right, if we do sell off, that we're going to be above the 0.0045. Well, why do I say that? Well, because we're going to be ping-ponging, right? So we can see we have a floor over here. The next type of area we could possibly sell off is going to be this type of candle right here, which is also falls under some type of resistance, and which would mean obviously would ping back down, but we shouldn't really ping further than this over here because this is also another zone, right? So, if we do ping from, let's just say 0.005, we should go pretty much maximum to 0.0045 before we make another rally to the upside. Overall, I am still pretty optimistic on Turbo regardless of what happens, right? We know that we are in a very, very big zone. We are overall just consolidating, right? When we take this huge support, we fell through it back in February, early March. It looked a little bit scary. Boom, we saw some resurgence mid to late April. And of course, we went back down. We retested it. We've tried to push higher. We failed, but we are going to make another attempt to blast through this huge, massive zone, roughly around 0.006707, right? Roughly somewhere over there. And we also know that there's also a big, very big, trend line resistance, right? You can see multiple points have been touched. So that's why that's also another reason why we got rejected, because it wasn't just one resistance zone, it was two, right? We have the one that's going horizontally, and of course we have the one that is going diagonally. We can see over here where I'm marking it up, it's touched multiple times. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we are just preparing for another big bang. I do expect Turbo to have a very huge blast, just the way it did mid to late, April, but this time obviously towards even upwards of 1 cent, because that is where the next kind of resistance zone is, right? We could go like this over here and boom, right? Perfect. We draw this out right here, touch, multiple touches. So yeah, next destination is the 1 cent, which obviously means technically if you got in today, boom, right? Technically if you got in today, something like here, boom, you could see upwards of 2.3 times your money over the next few weeks. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.